show you a couple of jobs this morning. We've got here, these are aluminium welding jobs, cast jobs, which anybody who does allies knows is the worst. The first one we've got here is, this is the foot off of a sack barrow that hinges up just to move stuff around, and this, as you can see, that has split clean across there. You can already see that the whole thing is a little bit bent, and that's obviously just given way over time. And the second job, which is on my Milford whetstone grinder video, as part of that, is this fan blade here that was on the motor shaft that stupidly I tried to push against this in the press just to get a bearing, to move a small amount so I could get space behind it to get hold of it and press it off, and in doing so I snapped it. So you've got two big cracks. You can see that one there, which is the more prominent of the two, but also broken on this inner webbing here. So that's got to be cleaned up and weld as well. Hasn't got to be too much because it's not under any stress or strain, so I just don't want it rattling around loose like that and potentially breaking up later down the line. Now I've already cleaned these. These have been cleaned up, as you can probably see there, and I just use an air die grinder for this with one of these coarse bits in there, just so the aluminium doesn't clog it up. Makes things a little bit easier. If you use the small fine ones, they do work as well, and I'll show you one in comparison. But these ones will clog up sometimes straight away, and then to try and pick it all out is a bit of a nightmare, whereas these ones, they're more like a milling cutter for a die grinder. They do fine, they don't clog up, and you won't have no issues. So we've gone inside all the bits there. This is going to weld like crap, to be fair. You can already see how porous that is. You can see the bubbles in it because it was only some old casting for a fan blade, never intended for anything more, so the quality was never going to have been very good because it didn't need to be very good. This won't be so bad because it's probably about 50 years newer and it's cleaned up okay, and it was never that grotty in the first place, but that's also been cleaned up, so that shouldn't be too bad. This one will be probably, but we'll see how we get on with that. But we're going to do this one first. Some people asked actually and mentioned, you'll see on my table here, my little welding table, that I've got Kinsey Motorsport cut out of this, yet everything else is under Kinsey Fabrications. That's because when I started doing this, everything was pretty much car related. I learned my welding through playing with cars. I learned my taking things apart, putting them back together, and just tinkering with stuff all through cars. But now I do this more, well, now I do it full time, but it was just a hobby. Everything was car related. Now it's full time. I do a lot of other stuff. I do a lot of light machining on my lathe. I've got a milling machine which I've just started to use. I've only just got that up and running recently. There's some videos on my channel with the bridge pull, but having motorsport in the name kind of limited me on what people thought I did. So we went with the fabrications because, as much as motorsport is what I get a lot of work from, track day cars, could be race car, rally car, small job, big job, I also do a lot of general fabrication. Can you make me this? Can you machine me that? And can you weld me, etc, etc. So by changing the name, it puts it out there a little bit more that there's other things I can do, as well as people thinking it's just car related. So that's why under Kinsey Fabrications, yet you see Kinsey Motorsport on some of my clothing or some of the other bits and bobs I've done. So I've just gone out, so you can see there, and just got some new workwear made up, jumpers, t-shirts, hoodies, fleeces and things like that, with the Kinsey Fabrications on it. So you'll see me in that only from now on. But this table, I'm not going to get rid of it just because it's got that cut out in there, but yeah, I won't be using that name on anything else anymore. So that clears that up. so let's get this welded up and we'll see how this one goes first off. CK torch that I used, flex head with a Pyrex gas saver lens on the end. Quite like these. You just got to be careful, and I've done it once before with the bigger 1-inch cut, is when you put it down not to whack it on the bench, because that will just shatter very easily. So keep it tucked away under there. And you can probably hear the welder going in the background because it's one of the ones where the fan's on constantly. Right, so we're going to get this clamped up in place. There's nothing critical about where this goes to, because even as that's clamped there, you'll probably see that it isn't flat perfectly because it's all bent anyway. So we'll start up, I'll tack the sides and I'll get a small tack on that other inside there, then I'll take the clamp off and we'll run a bead top and bottom, and we're not going to dress it afterwards because there isn't any need to do that. 2.4 filler rod, 40-43. You can use other filler rod, but this just wets out a bit better, I find. So we've got it on what we set at 160 amps, 120 hertz, and we've got the AC balance on 45 on this machine. So on this one, 0 is no cleaning action, all the way down to 90 is the most cleaning action. So yeah, we'll get it down and we're on 45, so let's see how this goes. Not going to be the best angled shots for you guys, but you get the gist. Just going to turn the post flow up a bit there, because for whatever reason the settings had to change, gone down. I must have adjusted that before. So we've just got a tack on either side now. And we'll run a bead both sides here. Let's give that one last weld. When you're welding or doing any repairs on stuff like this, these sort of cast alley items, they're never going to be show welds, it's never going to be weld pong. You just got to do as best you can, and for these sort of things it's more function. As long as it works and it doesn't crack again, then that's the main thing. You're not going to win any awards for how they look at the end of it with these ones. Probably heard that, it spat right back at the tungsten there. Not too much, but you can just see it on there, so I'm going to clean that quickly. problem is you want to keep a nice tight arc length, but on this sort of stuff it does bubble and spit back, and sometimes you just can't avoid that. So we clean that up again. Just use a drill bit, and I've got a small cheap belt sander that I use just for the tungstens. And you can see there, not too bad, but it just spat up on this end. I'm just going to brush over that, because what I'll do is I'll run around the other side, then I'm going to do a bead top and bottom over that one, just to give it a bit more strength, because this thing is getting abused every time it's used. So the more strength we can get back into it, the better. Just a little bit more stick out, just to get inside here. And this one's not welding too bad, so I'm just going to turn that balance down a bit. No, we're going to have to go back up with the balance. So this bit here is awful, absolutely awful. Spitting and bubbling. This is about as bad as it gets really, and I thought it wouldn't be too bad. That side was okay. In this gap here, not nice at all. So we'll do the best we can. Like I said, you won't be winning any awards for how this stuff looks. Some occasions you might be okay. You might get a good weld out of it. To be fair, I could have cleaned in there a bit better. But it's sucking up a lot of junk out of that one. A lot of junk. Once you've got some filler on in there, then you're going over the clean metal, it's not too bad. What's funny is I thought this casting was going to be the good one, but this is as bad as any other. We've got bubbles and spits and a bit of all sorts going on in here. We don't want it to break down. We'll grind out some of the porous bits of this and then just go over it once more. noisy now because of the compressor, apologies for that. But I may even turn that down in the video. So let's go again. Do. Having your balance up makes a bit of a nasty hook sometimes on the end of the tungsten, but you just kind of got to go with it and do what you can. And I'll show you this here. So there's that part. We'll leave the welds on there because they've got no need to be ground off, but you can see that is not the nicest weld by far. But sometimes with this function over form, it will do the job until the next time he manages to break it. But I'd call that one done. Now, if that's the one I thought was going to be good, I'm really looking forward to how this one's going to go, because that is going to be horrendous. Right, so what we'll do is just hold this down with one hand as I get a tack on it. We don't really need to clamp this one up, but I'll just get a tack on this outside edge, just holding it in line, and then I can see where I'm going to go from there. You're not going to get a great view of this one for the minute. Let's see how it goes. We've got a tack in there just to start us off. Now I'll put one on the other side here, and I'm going to tack that in place on both sides as well before I weld round that one. Going to use this just to stop this rocking. If not, it'd be all over the show. Because it wasn't perfectly flat before I broke it. We'll just use that as a bit of weight on the back. Try and keep it a bit steadier. funny enough, this one's welding nicer than the other one. So it just goes to show, until you light up on it, you never know what way it's going to go. So yeah, I expected this to be terrible because of some of the porosity you can already see in it, and it turns out that this is actually not too bad, considering. One more little bit. There we go. So I'm going to leave this clamped up. So you can see that welded up in there and on the back side here. Might take this side of it down. Inside's not too bad there, I just don't want too much weight on it. Getting wobbly. I think the motor's speed's rated about 1450 RPM. I'm going to test it first anyway, so we'll just see, but it shouldn't make too much of a wobble. I'll grind that back a little bit and just DA that off, because it isn't going to cause us too much grief. In fact, I'll just DA it down now a little bit. I like to use 6-inch orbital sander. So we just take it back. Don't want to get it all off because there's more chance of it re-cracking if we do. So we just take off the main bit of weight and leave that there. And then that's all good to go back on. Yeah, so welding cast alley. Not the nicest thing, and you won't win awards, but it can be done, and you just got to persevere with it. If you weld it and it comes up too bad and it's bubbly and blowing holes, unfortunately the only thing you can really do is weld over it. If it spits some bubbles and it's drawing more out of it, then die grind it back out, clean it up again, and keep repeating just until you've got something that's suitable for the application you're doing. So if it hasn't got to look good, it's not so bad, but you still don't want to weld there that's porous and full of bubbles, because it's not going to last. So if you have to keep going over it just until you think you've got the strength back in there and you don't need the looks, then that's fine. If you want it to look good at the same time, like with these, if this needed to look perfect when it was finished, then I'd take that all the way back down with the grinder and the DA to get it smooth, and then just make sure that you've got a good weld underneath and you can't see any cracks. And I'd probably file that one down or use a small fine die grinding sanding disc in there to get that good. But these don't have to be like that, so they can stay as they are, and that's going to do the job perfect. See you again on another video.